In the vast expanse of the Mediterranean, a thunderous conflict was about to reshape the course of human history. Picture a world teetering on the brink of transformation, where two monumental powers would clash in an epic struggle that would echo through centuries. The Punic Wars were far more than mere military campaigns. They represented a profound collision of civilizations, a complex dance of strategies, ambitions, and destinies that would fundamentally alter the trajectory of the ancient world. This was not simply a conflict between armies, but a profound confrontation between two radically different cultural and political philosophies. Rome and Carthage, two Titan civilizations. Two fundamentally different approaches to power, trade, and territorial expansion. Their horizon was singular, but their visions divergent and irreconcilable. The 3rd century before Christ was a period of intense geopolitical tension. The Mediterranean was not just a body of water, but a dynamic arena of possibility and peril. On one side stood Rome, a young, fiercely ambitious republic burning with the desire for expansion and glory. Its military prowess was matched only by its political innovation and disciplined social structure. Opposing Rome was Carthage, a sophisticated commercial empire with maritime routes that stretched far beyond the visible horizon. Founded by Phoenician traders, Carthage possessed a complex civilization built on mercantile expertise, naval supremacy, and a cosmopolitan culture that had flourished for centuries. These were not merely two armies preparing for conflict, but two entire worldviews preparing to collide. Rome represented a land-based militaristic society with a republican system of governance. Carthage embodied a maritime, trade-driven civilization with a more oligarchic political structure. Their confrontation would determine not just territorial supremacy, but the very model of power that would dominate the ancient Mediterranean world. As tensions mounted and ambitions grew, the stage was set for a conflict that would last over a century, a series of wars that would ultimately determine the fate of entire civilizations, redraw political boundaries, and set the stage for the rise of one of history's most remarkable empires. The Punic Wars were about to begin, and nothing would ever be the same again. If you're ready to dive into this fascinating journey through ancient history, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the Legacy of Empires channel so you don't miss any of our adventures through the past. The Mediterranean world of the 3rd century before Christ was a vibrant, complex tapestry of civilizations where maritime landscapes told stories of commerce, conflict, and cultural exchange. Mediterranean city-states emerged like jewels along coastal regions, each with imposing stone fortifications that spoke of both defensive necessity and architectural prowess. Carthage, situated on the northern coast of modern-day Tunisia, represented the pinnacle of urban sophistication. Its strategic location at the crossroads of Mediterranean trade routes made it an unparalleled commercial hub. Phoenician engineering and maritime expertise had transformed this coastal settlement into a powerhouse of economic and naval might. The cityscape was a sensory marvel. Narrow streets bustled with merchants negotiating trades of spices, metals, and luxury goods. Massive stone walls rose imposingly, protecting intricate urban infrastructure designed with remarkable architectural precision. Wooden structures crafted from cedar, prized for its durability and aesthetic beauty, stood alongside stone buildings, creating a rich architectural landscape. The maritime environment was equally dynamic. Warships with multiple rows of oars cut through azure waters, their wooden hulls meticulously constructed, representing the technological apex of naval engineering of that era. These vessels were not merely transportation. They were floating fortresses, symbols of military and commercial power. Sensory experiences defined the urban atmosphere. The air was dense with distinctive aromas. Cedar wood's rich fragrance mingled with the metallic scent of primitive gunpowder and the salty perspiration of seasoned sailors. Blacksmiths' workshops rang with rhythmic hammering, metal being forged into weapons and tools that would shape military and economic destinies. Archaeological evidence reveals intricate trading networks. Ceramic fragments, metal tools, and naval artifacts demonstrate the sophisticated material culture of these Mediterranean civilizations. Carthaginian craftsmen produced exquisite metalwork, while their shipbuilders constructed vessels that would become legendary in maritime history. The landscape was not just a physical space, but a dynamic ecosystem of human ambition, technological innovation, and cultural exchange. Every street, every ship, every traded commodity told a story of human resilience, creativity, and the relentless pursuit of power and prosperity. As tensions between Rome and Carthage escalated, this rich, complex world would become the stage for one of history's most consequential conflicts. A series of wars that would fundamentally reshape the Mediterranean's political and cultural landscape. The Mediterranean world of the 3rd century before Christ was a vibrant, complex tapestry of civilizations, where maritime landscapes told stories of commerce, conflict, and cultural exchange. Mediterranean city-states emerged like jewels along coastal regions, each with imposing stone fortifications that spoke of both defensive necessity and architectural prowess. Carthage, situated on the northern coast of modern-day Tunisia, represented the pinnacle of urban sophistication. Its strategic location at the crossroads of Mediterranean trade routes made it an unparalleled commercial hub. Phoenician engineering and maritime expertise had transformed this coastal settlement into a powerhouse of economic and naval might. The cityscape was a sensory marvel. Narrow streets bustled with merchants negotiating trades of spices, metals, and luxury goods. Massive stone walls rose imposingly, protecting intricate urban infrastructure designed with remarkable architectural precision. Wooden structures crafted from cedar, prized for its durability and aesthetic beauty, stood alongside stone buildings, creating a rich architectural landscape. The maritime environment was equally dynamic. Warships with multiple rows of oars cut through azure waters, their wooden hulls meticulously constructed, representing the technological apex of naval engineering of that era. These vessels were not merely transportation. They were floating fortresses, symbols of military and commercial power. Sensory experiences defined the urban atmosphere. The air was dense with distinctive aromas. Cedar wood's rich fragrance mingled with the metallic scent of primitive gunpowder and the salty perspiration of seasoned sailors. Blacksmiths' workshops rang with rhythmic hammering, metal being forged into weapons and tools that would shape military and economic destinies. Archaeological evidence reveals intricate trading networks. Ceramic fragments, metal tools, and naval artifacts demonstrate the sophisticated material culture of these Mediterranean civilizations. Carthaginian craftsmen produced exquisite metalwork, while their shipbuilders constructed vessels that would become legendary in maritime history. The landscape was not just a physical space, but a dynamic ecosystem of human ambition, technological innovation, and cultural exchange. Every street, every ship, every traded commodity told a story of human resilience, creativity, and the relentless pursuit of power and prosperity. As tensions between Rome and Carthage escalated, this rich, complex world would become the stage for one of history's most consequential conflicts. A series of wars that would fundamentally reshape the Mediterranean's political and cultural landscape. The Mediterranean world of the 3rd century before Christ was a vibrant, complex tapestry of civilizations, where maritime landscapes told stories of commerce, conflict, and cultural exchange. Mediterranean city-states emerged like jewels along coastal regions, each with imposing stone fortifications that spoke of both defensive necessity and architectural prowess. Carthage, situated on the northern coast of modern-day Tunisia, represented the pinnacle of urban sophistication. Its strategic location at the crossroads of Mediterranean trade routes made it an unparalleled commercial hub. Phoenician engineering and maritime expertise had transformed this coastal settlement into a powerhouse of economic and naval might. The cityscape was a sensory marvel. Narrow streets bustled with merchants negotiating trades of spices, metals, and luxury goods. Massive stone walls rose imposingly, protecting intricate urban infrastructure designed with remarkable architectural precision. Wooden structures crafted from cedar, prized for its durability and aesthetic beauty, stood alongside stone buildings, creating a rich architectural landscape. The maritime environment was equally dynamic. Warships with multiple rows of oars cut through azure waters, their wooden hulls meticulously constructed, representing the technological apex of naval engineering of that era. These vessels were not merely transportation. They were floating fortresses, symbols of military and commercial power. Sensory experiences defined the urban atmosphere. The air was dense with distinctive aromas. Cedar wood's rich fragrance mingled with the metallic scent of primitive gunpowder and the salty perspiration of seasoned sailors. Blacksmiths' workshops rang with rhythmic hammering, metal being forged into weapons and tools that would shape military and economic destinies. Archaeological evidence reveals intricate trading networks. Ceramic fragments, metal tools, and naval artifacts demonstrate the sophisticated material culture of these Mediterranean civilizations. Carthaginian craftsmen produced exquisite metalwork, while their shipbuilders constructed vessels that would become legendary in maritime history. The landscape was not just a physical space, but a dynamic ecosystem of human ambition, technological innovation, and cultural exchange. Every street, every ship, every traded commodity told a story of human resilience, creativity, and the relentless pursuit of power and prosperity. As tensions between Rome and Carthage escalated, this rich, complex world would become the stage for one of history's most consequential conflicts. A series of wars that would fundamentally reshape the Mediterranean's political and cultural landscape. Hannibal Barca emerged as one of history's most brilliant military commanders, a Carthaginian general whose strategic genius would challenge and terrify the Roman Republic. Born into the powerful Barca family, his life was defined by a deep-seated familial vendetta against Rome, sparked by the aftermath of the First Punic War. As a young man, Hannibal was molded by his father Hamilcar's bitter defeat and the humiliation Carthage suffered at Roman hands. He took a profound oath of vengeance, a personal and familial mission that would transform him into a military legend. His childhood was spent in military training, learning not just warfare tactics, but developing an extraordinary strategic mind that would become his most potent weapon. Hannibal's most remarkable achievement was his audacious crossing of the Alps with an army that included war elephants, a feat that seemed impossible to his contemporaries. He would go on to inflict devastating defeats on Roman armies, most notably at the Battle of Cannae in 216 BCE, where he employed a military strategy so brilliant that it would be studied by military commanders for centuries to come. On the Roman side stood Publius Cornelius Scipio, a military and political leader who would ultimately become Hannibal's nemesis. Where Hannibal was the embodiment of offensive strategy, Scipio represented adaptive military innovation. Scipio learned from Rome's initial defeats, studying Carthaginian tactics and developing counter-strategies that would eventually turn the tide of the war. He was not just a warrior, but a strategic thinker who understood that military success required more than brute force. It demanded intellectual flexibility and the ability to learn from one's opponents. His greatest triumph came at the Battle of Zama in 202 BCE, where he decisively defeated Hannibal, effectively ending the Second Punic War and establishing Rome's supremacy in the Mediterranean. Scipio's victory was not just a military achievement, but a transformative moment that would set Rome on its path to becoming a global empire. These two figures represented more than individual military leaders. They were symbols of their civilization's approach to conflict, strategy, and power. Hannibal embodied Carthage's bold, innovative spirit, while Scipio represented Rome's disciplined, adaptive military culture. Their confrontation was more than a personal rivalry. It was a clash of worldviews that would reshape the ancient world's political landscape, determining the future of Mediterranean civilization for centuries to come. The Punic Wars were not a single conflict, but a prolonged and escalating series of wars between Rome and Carthage that would fundamentally reshape the Mediterranean world. These wars represented a complex struggle for supremacy, with each conflict more intense and consequential than the last. This initial conflict was primarily a naval war, which forced Rome to dramatically transform its military capabilities. Previously a land-based power, Rome had to develop an entire naval infrastructure to challenge Carthage's maritime supremacy. The war centered on control of Sicily, with both powers recognizing the island's strategic importance. Rome's rapid naval development and innovative tactics, including the introduction of the corvus, a boarding bridge, allowed them to compete with Carthage's superior naval experience. This was the most dramatic and consequential of the Punic Wars, centered around Hannibal's legendary military campaign. His crossing of the Alps with a military force that included war elephants was a military maneuver that defied all conventional military wisdom of the time. Hannibal's invasion of the Italian peninsula was a strategic masterstroke that brought Rome to the brink of destruction. The war featured multiple pivotal battles, most notably the Battle of Cannae in 216 BCE, where Hannibal achieved one of the most complete tactical victories in military history. By employing a brilliant double envelopment strategy, he destroyed a Roman army significantly larger than his own, killing an estimated 70,000 Roman soldiers in a single day. Despite these extraordinary victories, Hannibal could not ultimately break Roman resilience. The Romans, under Scipio Africanus, eventually took the war to Carthage itself, forcing Hannibal to return and ultimately defeating him at the Battle of Zama in 202 BCE. Each war represented more than just military conflict. They were transformative moments that would determine the future of Mediterranean civilization, testing the limits of military strategy, political resilience, and cultural adaptation. The Punic Wars were not merely battles, but a complex narrative of two civilizations fighting for survival, supremacy, and the right to shape the ancient world's future. Carthage was far more than a military empire. It was a sophisticated civilization with deep cultural and religious traditions rooted in its Phoenician origins. Religious practices played a crucial role in their society, with elaborate rituals designed to secure divine favor, particularly in times of conflict. The most controversial aspect of their religious practice was the ritual of child sacrifice, known as the Tophet, where young children were sacrificed to the gods Baal Hammon and Tanit to ensure military success and prosperity. Their society was highly stratified, with a powerful merchant aristocracy controlling political and economic life. Unlike Rome's more egalitarian republican system, Carthage maintained a more oligarchic structure where wealthy families wielded significant influence. For the Romans, war was not merely a political or military endeavor, but a profoundly religious act. The declaration of war involved elaborate sacred rituals that transformed military conflict into a quasi-religious experience. The official priests would perform a complex ceremony that included hurling a symbolic spear into enemy territory, a ritualistic act that symbolically declared war and sought divine approval. The Romans viewed military conflict as a sacred duty, believing that their success in war was directly linked to their pietas, their religious devotion and moral righteousness. Military campaigns were often preceded by elaborate sacrifices and auguries, where priests would interpret the will of the gods through various signs. Both civilizations were driven by powerful mythological narratives. Carthaginians traced their origins to the legendary Phoenician princess Dido, Elissa, who founded Carthage after a dramatic escape from Tyre. Romans, meanwhile, drew inspiration from their founding myth of Romulus and Remus, seeing themselves as a divinely ordained civilization with a manifest destiny to rule. These cultural and mythical elements were not mere background. They were fundamental to understanding the psychological and spiritual motivation behind the Punic Wars. Each civilization saw the conflict as more than a territorial dispute. It was a cosmic struggle with profound religious and cultural implications. The wars represented a clash of worldviews, religious practices, and fundamental approaches to power, sovereignty, and divine intervention. Each battle was not just a military encounter, but a complex cultural performance laden with symbolic and spiritual significance. Pause for a moment and reflect. What aspect of this ancient civilization has surprised you the most so far? Share your thoughts in the comments. And if you're enjoying this trip back in time, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the Legacy of Empires channel to support the channel. The Battle of Cannae in 216 BCE stands as a testament to Hannibal's unparalleled military genius, representing the pinnacle of tactical brilliance in ancient warfare. This engagement would become a defining moment of the Second Punic War, demonstrating how strategic innovation could overcome seemingly insurmountable odds. Hannibal confronted a Roman army of approximately 86,000 soldiers, significantly larger than his own force of around 50,000. The numerical disadvantage would have deterred most commanders, but not Hannibal. He deployed a revolutionary tactical maneuver that would be studied by military strategists for centuries to come. At Cannae, Hannibal employed a sophisticated double envelopment strategy. He deliberately created a weak center in his battle line, inviting the Romans to push forward. As the Roman legions advanced, Hannibal's center gradually gave ground, creating an illusion of Roman victory. Simultaneously, his stronger cavalry and flanking infantry would progressively encircle the Roman forces. The result was catastrophic for Rome. As the Romans pressed into what seemed like a weakening Carthaginian line, they found themselves gradually surrounded. Hannibal's forces closed in from all sides, transforming the battlefield into a death trap. By battle's end, an estimated 70,000 Roman soldiers had been killed, potentially the single most devastating military defeat in ancient history. Yet, this is where Roman resilience emerged as a defining characteristic. Where other civilizations might have collapsed after such a devastating loss, Rome demonstrated an extraordinary capacity for adaptation and recovery. The Roman political and military leadership responded to this massive defeat not with despair, but with strategic recalibration. They adopted more defensive strategies, avoided direct confrontations, and began developing counter-tactics to Hannibal's innovative approaches. The Roman Senate's ability to rapidly mobilize resources, recruit new legions, and maintain political cohesion in the face of near-total military disaster was unprecedented. Cannae became more than a battle. It was a crucible that tested and ultimately revealed the fundamental strength of Roman civilization, an incredible capacity for resilience, learning, and transformation. The Third Punic War represented the final decisive confrontation between Rome and Carthage, a conflict that would permanently alter the Mediterranean's geopolitical landscape. This was not merely a war, but a calculated act of complete annihilation. Rome's approach was methodical and ruthless. The siege of Carthage lasted 3 years, during which the city's inhabitants endured unimaginable hardship. When Roman forces finally breached the city walls, they unleashed unprecedented destruction. Following their victory, the Romans implemented a strategy of total erasure. They systematically demolished the city, razed its buildings, and, in a symbolic act of total elimination, reportedly salted the surrounding lands to prevent future cultivation. The human cost was devastating. The surviving population was either massacred or sold into slavery, effectively ending Carthage's existence as a civilization. This was more than a military victory. It was a complete cultural extinction. Historically, this moment marked a critical transformation for Rome. The elimination of Carthage removed the last significant obstacle to Roman expansion in the Mediterranean. This victory signaled Rome's transition from a republican system to an imperial power, setting the stage for centuries of Roman dominance. The legacy of this conflict extended far beyond immediate territorial gains. By destroying Carthage, Rome demonstrated a new model of total warfare, one where complete elimination of an opponent became an acceptable strategic objective. This approach would influence military and political strategies for centuries to come. Carthage's destruction represented more than a military triumph. It symbolized the brutal efficiency of Roman power, the ruthlessness of imperial ambition, and the fundamental transformation of Mediterranean civilization. The Mediterranean would no longer be a contested space of multiple powers, but a Roman lake, the foundation of an empire that would reshape human history. The Punic Wars represent far more than a series of military conflicts. They were a profound, civilizational collision that fundamentally redesigned the global power structure of the ancient world. This epic confrontation between Rome and Carthage was a transformative moment in human history, transcending mere territorial disputes. At its core, the Punic Wars reveal fundamental truths about human civilization. These conflicts were not just about military might, but about the deeper qualities that determine survival and success: strategic thinking, cultural adaptability, and extraordinary resilience. Hannibal and Scipio emerged as more than military commanders. They were strategic visionaries who understood that war is won through intelligence, innovation, and the ability to learn and adapt. Carthage's sophisticated commercial culture and Rome's disciplined political system represented two different approaches to power and survival. The most profound lesson lies in how civilizations respond to challenge. Rome's ability to recover from devastating defeats, to learn from failures, and to continuously reinvent its military and political strategies demonstrates that true power is not about initial strength, but about resilience and adaptability. The destruction of Carthage was more than a military victory. It was a watershed moment that signaled Rome's transformation from a regional power to a global empire. This conflict reshaped not just territorial boundaries, but the very concept of political and cultural dominance. These wars remind us that history is not a linear narrative of victories and defeats, but a complex tapestry of human ambition, innovation, and the relentless pursuit of survival and supremacy. They teach us that civilizations rise not through brute force alone, but through their capacity to evolve, adapt, and learn from their most challenging moments. The Punic Wars stand as a testament to the extraordinary complexity of human conflict, a reminder that behind every historical event are human stories of courage, strategy, loss, and transformation. And so, we come to the end of another incredible journey through ancient history. If you enjoyed this trip through time, be sure to like this video, share this video with friends who also love history, and comment on what your favorite part was. And to make sure you don't miss any of our future explorations into the past, be sure to subscribe to the Legacy of Empires channel and turn on notifications. Together, we will continue to unravel the mysteries of great civilizations.